Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective. I'm Leo, and in this video I'll be doing my review of AEW Worlds End. So kicking off the show with the 0 hour, we had Willow Nightingale defeating Chris Statlander. This was a great match. In my opinion, this should have been on the main show, and the 8-man All-Star match should have been on the pre-show, because I think out of both women, they both had something to prove. And they just went out and killed it. They had a respectful match. You know, they're both friends, and it worked really well. And as I said, it was really good. There was fluid wrestling throughout the start of the match, and then we eventually got through to strikes, through nice kicks, and just really good striking wrestling and stuff like that through the middle. And then by the got to the end, we were doing kind of more hard-hitting moves such as power slams and power bombs, and just really they blew it out of the park. They had I don't know how long the match was, been about 20-25 minutes, and they blew it out of the park in my opinion. And compared to some of the other matches on the main card, this was a lot better than that, and yeah, it was like a pleasant surprise really. And I can't say enough positive stuff about it. I assume that this may set up Willow Nightingale for a women's championship match. Out of the two championships, I'd probably have a go for the women's world championship, just because she's just come out of a storyline with Julia Hart. They're having her go back in with her again, I don't think would make much sense, as she was part of the whole transition of Sky Blue and with all the mist and stuff, and Willow overcame the mist because she's so happy and good. And yeah, I think it makes more sense for her to go after Tony. I feel like her interactions with Tony, Willow Nightingale that is, would actually be quite entertaining, with such positivity from Willow, and then the absolute madness of Tony Storm I think will work really well. So it's something that I hope we get in the future anyway. And yeah, this whole thing with Stokely Hathaway seemed like really random and put together like last week, but it could work. I mean, I thought at first he was wanting to turn Willow Nightingale heel, which I feel like would have been a huge mistake, as she's probably one of the biggest babyface women on the roster. But actually he's wanting Chris Statlander not to necessarily turn heel, but have more of a killer instinct than she already has, and just not to be as nice when she wants stuff like championships and wins and stuff like that, which I think works really well. I don't feel like Statlander needs a manager, especially as she's already in kind of within the group of the best friends and Orange Cassidy and stuff. But it's an interesting way to go, and as long as it gives Statlander TV time and big matches, I have no complaints about having her be alongside Stokely Hathaway or just feuding with him or something. But as I said, I can see positives coming out of both sides here, and yeah, one of the better matches of the night, even though it was on the 0 hour. Definitely go watch it, as it's on YouTube because it was on the 0 hour. And yeah, positives all around. We had the 20-man Battle Royal, where the winner got a TNT Championship anywhere, whenever, however you want to put it. The match itself was not really that good. There was no real multiple of winners in this Battle Royal. I can fully understand why they didn't announce the competitors beforehand, as if I'd seen who was actually in it, it would have completely lost my interest. When they were doing the entrances, because usually if you get an entrance in the Battle Royal, that means you're going to be one of the final people in. Roppongi Vice's Trent was one of the last ones in, Danhausen, Lance Archer and Killswitch, so all of them got entrances and all of them were the final four, so it made perfect sense. Trent turning on Danhausen to eliminate him, I don't think there's any point in looking into. I don't think that's going to be a thing where Trent turns heel. I think it was just going to be a case of, you respectfully eliminated me in a Battle Royal where it's every man for himself. Lance Archer got absolutely screwed over. I feel like it was going to come down to Killswitch and Lance Archer, and unfortunately it didn't, because he got eliminated by Danhausen and bloody Trent. I've got a video coming up where I talk about people who need a better 2024. I think Lance Archer is in it. And yeah, I think, to be fair, as soon as Killswitch made his entrance, and he was the last one in to make an entrance, I knew for a fact he was going to get the win here. It makes perfect sense, as he has connections with the TNT Championship on both sides. And yeah, it kind of gave away the result almost instantly as soon as you saw Killswitch make his entrance. And yeah, so it was alright. It's hard to have a bad battle royal. This is how you do it, because this was very uninteresting, very clear who the winner was going to be, and yeah, just not that good. The final match on the 0 hour was Hook successfully defending the FTW Championship against Wheeler Yuta in an FTW rules match. For me, if you wanted to show someone a bang average no disqualification match, this is what you would show them. Hook's FTW title was never in jeopardy at any point. I felt like it didn't feel at any point like Wheeler Yuta was ever going to get the win. And yeah, I think it served the purpose perfectly that they just wanted Hook on the show because he's from New York, which is fair enough. You know, I'm not going to argue with people getting matches in their hometown, but yeah, this really wasn't, again, that interesting. There was no way Hook was losing to Wheeler Yuta here, and yeah, it was just bang average, and Wheeler Yuta retains the FTW Championship. The first match on the main show saw Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Mark Briscoe defeat Brody King, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh. This was mid. This really wasn't that good. It wasn't really that interesting. You could tell it was very thrown together. The teams were really random, and they made absolutely no sense at all. Like, you had 8 men in the match, of which 6 of them were heels, 2 of them were babyface, and the 2 people who were 2 people who are babyface were on opposite teams. It made absolutely no sense at all. It completely didn't take my interest in the slightest. The only good thing to come out of it is that Daniel Garcia got the winning pin, but it was over Jay Lethal. So, you know, the only guy that got 0 points in the Continental Classic. It would have been more impactful if Daniel Garcia maybe pinned Jay White or Roosh or Brody King. But no, he pinned the worst person in the Continental Classic instead. And I know this might add to a Jay Lethal storyline where he may separate from the gang of Jeff Jarrett and all them, but really just like, I'm glad this kicked off the show because I couldn't have cared less about this match going in. As I said, the teams made absolutely no sense. This didn't need to be on a card that was long enough as it is, and yeah, it was just a way to get all these people on the card when we've seen them wrestle every week for the past 6 weeks. Therefore, we didn't really need them on this card. And yeah, I don't know. For me, it's all negatives out of this one, other than Daniel Garcia getting the pin. But even then, it's not that impactful. So yeah, pretty disappointed with this one. But we'll see where things go with everybody in the match. But yeah, just not a great way to start off the Following that, we had Miro defeat Andrade El Idolo with CJ Perry in his corner. This was a good match, for sure enjoyable, but most of it was concentrated on CJ Perry and Miro's interactions. For the most part, CJ Perry could have been a lot quieter. She was getting involved a lot, and also a lot of like I don't even know how to put it. It just wasn't understandable interactions between Miro and CJ Perry. Like, at one point, Miro shouted at CJ, "Is this what you want?" Which, no, she isn't, because she literally told you she didn't want you to attack her clients. And then she shouted back, "Is this what you wanted? Look at my infected finger." Like, it didn't make it. I know that her infected finger was on her middle finger, which then, you know, she's telling him to fuck off. But it just wasn't very good, and it doesn't surprise me, as like, this is very real life CJ Perry, as if you've watched Total Divas, which I'm not ashamed to say I have, she's mental in real life, and it doesn't surprise me that she's just shouting randomly at points. But yeah, I mean, Andrade put in a great performance here, but none of this was about him, unfortunately. Like, this was it wasn't randomly put on the card. Like, I'm glad it was on this card. It just would have been so much better if CJ Perry wasn't at ringside and they should have just had a fight. But instead, like, he was in the match, but he wasn't really, because the match was more Miro versus CJ than it was Miro versus Andrade, unfortunately. And especially if this could be Andrade's last match in AEW, this wasn't the best way to leave the company, but he did lose on his way out, which is a respectful way to do it. One thing I did like about this match, though, is that CJ Perry helped Miro win, which does make sense as he is her husband, but it means that any other future clients that CJ Perry gets knows not to trust her at ringside against the inevitable match with Miro, because she'll just turn on him. Like, because the one thing this match didn't show at the end was CJ Perry and Miro coming together as a partnership, suggesting that they're still going to be apart, but every time Miro attacks one of her clients, she's going to help her client lose, which, if you were to read that, makes no sense. I'm saying that out loud. It still doesn't make any sense. So why not just put Miro and CJ together? You know, it's like Ice Age. Ice Age. She completes you. Bam. It just doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't put CJ and Miro together, especially after this pay-per-view. Like, I'm hoping they do on like Collision this week. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of confusion coming out of this one. Decent match overall. Andrade didn't really need to be there, but he was anyway, and he lost on his way out, I think, so that's good. Putting Miro over, very much all for, but a lot of confusion. Following that, we have Toni Storm successfully defending the Women's World Championship against Riho. This was not a great match. It was neither a good match. It was actually quite boring, to be fair. I found myself getting very easily distracted, and I'm pretty sure so did commentary as well, as they started talking about random stuff as well. I would have preferred this on maybe Rampage or Collision, because I don't think it is even worth being a Dynamite match. This really wasn't very good at all. Very disinterested, however you say that. But yeah, it was very one-sided towards Toni Storm. Riho did get like some offense in, but it wasn't a lot. Toni Storm did dominate for the most part, which was to be expected. This match kind of went exactly how I would have expected it to go. And yeah, Toni Storm gets the win and carries on her title reign. It's just another retain in her championship reign, in my opinion. And yeah, it didn't take much interest. I said I found myself getting very distracted at the time, thinking and talking about other stuff with my brother, who was watching it with me at the time. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I had absolutely no doubt that Toni was winning. Again, similar to the FGW title match, the title was never once in jeopardy during the match. And yeah, it's a shame, because Riho, obviously being the first women's champion, you'd expect her to be more of a threat to the championship and whoever the champion is. But that's just not the case, and it is unfortunate. But hopefully Toni Storm can now move on to, I assume, Revolution now, or just I imagine there might be a special of Dynamite or a Battle of the Belts coming up between now and Revolution, where she may defend her title against someone who is more endowed to put jeopardy to Toni Storm's title reign. Who it might be, as I said in the opening part, Willow Nightingale definitely deserves a title shot. Chris Statlander could be in there as well. Maybe a returning Britt Baker. I don't know where she's been recently, but again, she hasn't really earned a title shot. She's been losing a lot as of this year. But either way, I mean, it's all speculation. But as I said, very happy that Toni Storm is still the women's champion, as her character is 100% fantastic and definitely one of the better things on AEW right now. But this match as a whole was very disappointing and very boring, in my opinion. Following that, we had Swerve Strickland defeat Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes was filling in for a injured Keith Lee, so we're going to have to wait another year to see Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland, I assume. But yeah, this was somehow the best match of the night as of that point. Like, Swerve, before the bell even rung, attacked Dustin and more or less broke his ankle, or is supposed to believe that's what he did. And but the match went way longer than it should have. Like, I said to my brother as this match started, Swerve should just squash Dustin Rhodes here and then be one and done with it. There's enough matches on this pay-per-view to have a squash match and it not affect the time, really. We didn't get that. Dustin Rhodes' ankle injury after being stamped through a cinder block kind of came and went. You know, it was very clear that it was a work, but that was very, very, very clear. But yeah, it kind of like Dustin was sometimes all right, and sometimes he was limping. Sometimes he was all good to run about. Sometimes he couldn't walk at all. It really made no sense at all. You know, I don't get how someone can have their ankle stamped through a cinder block and then also hit a Canadian Destroyer halfway through the match. But it just made no sense at all. But Swerve did dominate for the most part and get the win, which was the more important part, carrying on his momentum into the new year. And as I said, losing my train of thought here. Swerve carrying on his momentum is very good, something we fully expect. Do I think he's going to be world champion by the end of next year? No, I think it'll be probably 2025 when he gets his world title run, as I feel like he probably won't beat Samoa Joe. He might go on a bit of a tear. I feel like somebody else might win the title at All In, but I'm going to do a video on that later on next week. And then I can see them carrying it for the rest of that year. So maybe it'll be Swerve's year next year, but I expect like a fully, almost perfect record from Swerve in 2024, like putting on banger matches with whomever he has feuds with, and I very much look forward to it. Dustin Rhodes, I have really nothing to comment on, really. We don't see him very often. It was nice to see him when we did, but yeah, as soon as it was announced that it was Swerve versus Dustin, I lost complete interest and just hoped that Swerve got the win pretty easily, which he did for the most part. So yeah, as I said, we'll have to wait for a bit longer for Swerve versus Strickland, as I assume it will be probably Worlds End next year when we get it. Following that, we had Team Babyface, which was Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting, defeating Team Heel, which was Big Bill, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Inosuke Takeshita. Yet another mid 8-man match. It was action-packed, but nothing really to write home about. Like, there was some good action throughout. I'm so used to Chris Jericho being a heel that when him and Sting were in the ring together, I was for sure ready for Jericho to turn on Sting, which he never did. And it makes no sense. He's been faced for ages now, but I'm so used to him being a heel that I was fully expecting Jericho to just attack Sting for no reason. But yeah, this served two purposes, which was, one, to get Sting on the show because he's retiring in March, and to set up Jericho and Guevara, the sex gods, that they're probably going to have to change. Like, they can't have a team with Jericho in it and call it the sex gods anymore. They'll take on Billy Starks. Oh, I knew I was going to do that eventually. Big Bill and Ricky Starks for the tag titles at some point down the line. I hope that it's before Revolution, because I'm not bothered about that match at all. And that's if Chris Jericho isn't fired beforehand for all this stuff. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't know much about it. But yeah, for me, this was just another disappointing match. The two 8-man matches were not interesting in the slightest, didn't need to be on the card, and yeah, just disappointing, as I said, overall. And I expected more, but again, it was just to get Sting on the card and set up a tag title match, which they could have done on Dynamite. So another unnecessary match on an unnecessarily long show. Next up, we had Julia Hart successfully defending the TBS Championship against Abaddon. This was a decent match. Like, it was entertaining for the most part. It was also very slow, and I mentioned to my brother how slow it was, but we've seen matches before where they started off slow, picked up massively, and been a really good match. Yet this didn't do that at all. This just stayed slow the whole time. Abaddon because it's Julia Hart as a member of House of Black, it was house rules. It's like a 20 count on the outside, no count on the ropes, all this other stuff, and you could choose your own rule. Abaddon chose biting, which makes sense as they're a living dead girl, but yeah, it wasn't great. Like, I think Abaddon bit a total of like 3 times. It really didn't affect the match at all, having Abaddon choose that rule, but as I said, it was entertaining as far as the crowd were fully into it. They were chanting "This is spooky" instead of "This is awesome" and stuff like that, which was entertaining. Sky Blue got involved to help Julia Hart get the win, which was fully to be expected. And yeah, it kind of went how I expected it to go down, which in a way is good and bad, because it's bad because it's predictable in a way, but it's also good because I'm a big fan of Julia Hart and I wanted to keep the title. So either way, it's good. I'm glad to see that Sky Blue has come together with Julia Hart. And yeah, overall, just, it didn't majorly deliver on what it could have been, but it was good for what it was. There was worse matches on the card, I guess, if you're going to try and take positives from anywhere. But again, I expect a lot more better defenses by Julia Hart in the future. But it was nice to see Abaddon on pay-per-view, as they don't really get on there very often. But as I haven't really got much else. I'm saying a lot because I haven't really got a lot to say about this one. Other than, entertaining, okay match, very slow. Happy that Julia Hart still. Following that, we had Adam Copeland defeat Christian Cage in a no disqualification match to become the new TNT champion. This match I wasn't sure about until the end. Like, overall, it was really good, but it was a match of two halves. Like, you had the first half of the match where Adam Copeland was full on attacking Christian. He attacked him during an entrance like a heel, like a massive heel. Like, honestly, like, who would attack another person's father like Adam Copeland attacked Christian Cage? Like, it was unnecessary, brutal, and just unforgivable in my opinion. And yeah, for the most part, Edge was getting the better of Christian at all sides, but then just like for the second half of the match, it was all Christian Cage. And when he stomped his neck on the steps, and he was using all kinds of weapons, and Nick Wayne and Shayna Wayne were helping him as well. And I said it was just really good to see such an even match in an ODQ match. Usually they kind of go one way or the other, but this was straight down the middle. Like, you didn't know who was going to win until like the very, very end, when the momentum shifted once again. And Adam Copeland, technically Nick Wayne and Christian Cage set up the table and then set it on fire, and then Christian Cage got taken out and Nick Wayne got taken out, and then the fire on the table had gone out, which is kind of funny because Nick Wayne had to sell the attack that Edge did for like ages. It was really funny it was funny seeing him on the apron trying to sell like a quite basic move for quite a while while Edge reset the table on fire. And then Edge, he's just a sick man, put Shayna Wayne's son through a flaming table, missed the table by a fair bit, and just put him on his head instead. Like, his legs were probably burnt like fuck, but his head he's probably got concussion now because Edge doesn't know how to do a powerbomb. Which is he's just a sick man. Honestly, I don't understand how Adam Copeland is cheered all the time, because he's a massive heel. He's probably about as much as a bigger heel as Rey Mysterio is in WWE. Like, I don't understand how you could do that to such a young person. Like, it's almost abuse. And I know it's wrestling and that's the whole point, but it is. You know, you don't just put a child, or pretty much, through a flaming table. That is sick. It's sick. But anyway, but I digress. And then, yeah, he got back in the ring, hit Christian with Kill Switch, Christian's finisher, which is another insult to Christian. Like, what kind of best friend is Adam Copeland, who tried to put Christian's son through a flaming table, missed, and then hit him with his own finisher to become the new TNT champion, which is very good if you're a fan of Adam Copeland. I'm not, because he targeted one of the best characters in AEW right now. So yeah, Adam Copeland is the new TNT champion. However, in what could and should be seen as probably the smartest move in wrestling since, I don't know, Edge cashing in Money in the Bank for the first time ever in history of the Money in the Bank, Luchasaurus, Kill Switch came out from, I assume, under the ring or something, attacked Copeland and was about to cash in his contract for a anytime, anyplace, anywhere TNT title shot, when Christian Cage stopped him and convinced him to hand over his contract, because I assume Christian Cage in his house somewhere has some kind of fossil that was Luchasaurus's mother, and he says that if he doesn't do what he wants, he's going to burn it or something. And that meant that Luchasaurus Kill Switch gave Christian the contract for a TNT title shot anytime, anywhere. Christian signed it. Do you know why Christian signed it and Killswitch didn't? Because Killswitch is a dinosaur. He doesn't have a signature. Like, come on, people. Why would you give a contract to a dinosaur? And then, so then Christian Cage cashes in the contract, spears Edge, because Copeland. Christian Cage spears Copeland using his own move against him, because Copeland is a massive heel and he literally got what he deserved in the almost quote from Joker. And Christian Cage pinned him and is the new TNT champion. Like, the year was ended when Adam Copeland won the title, and then Christian Cage, just in the smartest move I think I've ever seen, saved 2023. It was fantastic. It was just brilliant. Christian Cage continues to show that he is a wrestling genius, in the words of Jeremy Clarkson, and yeah, just shows how much of an intellect he is when it comes to having the one-up over everybody. And in my opinion, Christian should probably go on and be world champion and TNT champion and international champion and tag team champions with Nick Wayne, and just become every champion, because he deserves it. He's an absolute genius, and he has the wrestling mind better than most people. Like, just I cannot express enough how much of a role model Christian Cage is, because he's just fantastic in every way possible, and I'm so happy that he is our new TNT champion. And following that absolute spectacle, we had the final of the Continental Classic, where Eddie Kingston defeated Jon Moxley to retain the Ring of Honor Championship, retain the New Japan Strong Championship, and to become the inaugural Continental Champion. This was a brilliant match. It was an absolute scrap between two friends, and Kingston fully deserves the win here. And after an up and down tournament, losing the first parts, but then kind of bringing it back and doing a huge comeback towards the end, it was just a great moment to see Eddie Kingston get the win, and as I said, fully deserved. The match itself was really good, from strikes to grappling to submissions. It had pretty much everything, and Moxley didn't bleed, which is just a huge shock, especially against Eddie Kingston. One thing this part of the show definitely got wrong was having Danielson on commentary. Like, I know that he's been doing some of the commentary for the Continental Classic, but the whole point of the Continental Classic is that you don't have someone at ringside, which technically Moxley did, because the Bad Blood Combat Club consists of Danielson and Moxley. Therefore, I feel like Eddie Kingston was outnumbered for the most part, but he overcame it, and which is good. And I know Danielson didn't get involved, but his commentary was very annoying because it was very unbiased, because he hates Kingston and he's in a team with Moxley. So if anything was wrong with this match, it was Bryan Danielson on commentary. That should never have been a thing. But as I said, the whole tournament itself has been very much enjoyable. I've enjoyed watching the matches every week on Collision and on Dynamite, and sometimes on Rampage. And yeah, if this is going to be an annual thing, then I'm fully up for it. I can't wait to see who's going to be in it next year. I assume that whoever is champion will go into it defending, like Kingston did for the Ring of Honor World Championship and the New Japan Strong Championship. But yeah, said overall, I'm not humming on again. But yeah, it was all positives from me. I'm glad they had the show with respect at the end. I don't know how Danielson's going to feel about that with Moxley, but it's not like Danielson can actually do anything about it. It's John fucking Moxley. But yeah, it's a huge moment for Eddie Kingston. Very enjoyable match. I do like Kingston matches because of how much of a scrap they are. Like, one of my favourite matches of his was his match with Ishii on the Tomohiro Ishii on the kickoff show or 0 Hour to All Out a couple of years ago, or last year, I can't remember. But yeah, as I said, very good match. Probably just lost out on match of the night, but I was fully expecting the match I got and more for what they did more for what I was expecting as well. So yep, all positives for me, and Eddie Kingston is your first ever Continental. And finally, in the main event, we had Samoa Joe defeat MJF to become the new AEW World Champion. For me, this was match of the night. It was absolutely brilliant. I was worried that going into the match with MJF hurt with his shoulder injury on Dynamite. Well, his shoulder injury's been around for ages, but it was targeted by Joe on Dynamite when he turned on him, that we were going to get a similar match to Jay White and MJF at Full Gear, and I'm very happy that it wasn't that case, and that MJF put up a really good fight against Joe, and Joe perfectly targeted the shoulder. One huge part of the match was when Joe did the muscle buster on the apron, and it looked absolutely brutal. The kick when MJF tried to lift himself back up again, and Joe just kicked him square in the face, and his head just bounced off the bottom rope back into his shoe and just fell to the outside. It was awful. I'm surprised that didn't bloody him up. But yeah, it said Joe had a really good match here, and like really showed that he can carry the company. I know, like my brother, for example, he didn't see Samoa Joe in Impact or in NXT, So for him, it was very surprising to see Samoa Joe become world champion. For me, it is fully deserved. Like, this is the kind of Samoa Joe we should have got on the main roster of WWE, and we never did due to injuries, unfortunately. But yeah, absolutely happy that Samoa Joe is the world champion, fully deserving. And I'm a big fan of Joe myself, so over the moon with this one. I was shocked though. Like, the match felt like it ended abruptly with MJF passing out, to a point where even Bryce Remberg, the referee, was like, shit, he's like out. I don't like almost hesitated to ring the bell and have Joe get the win, because it was surprising to everybody. I think I went silent afterwards. I wasn't expecting it to happen this way, but again, I am happy that it did in retrospect, because after I've been to sleep and stuff like since, and I've now slept on it, and yeah, I'm happy that Joe's champion, and I look forward to seeing his reign. I don't know who he's going to lose it to. It might be Ospreay when he's around, which I think will be an awesome match, by the way, Ospreay versus Joe. But you also got Swerve Strickland, who's coming up. Hangman also has eyed up the world title. You imagine Adam Cole will as well, so we'll have to see what happens there. And yeah, so for the match itself, very good match of the night. And then we kind of moved on. What I did like about it was Joe won the title and was out of there very quickly, which kind of showed that there was going to be something else happening, and gave MJF his moment in front of his hometown crowd, even though he'd lost. So again, Samoa Joe just Samoa Joe proving that it's the little things in wrestling that sometimes work the best way, and just him leaving as quickly as possible so nothing could happen. And then, yeah, Adam Cole came into the ring, started reassuring Max and the Devil's Stooges, or I forgot what they were calling it, or the Goons. The Devil's Goons came out, and they attacked MJF. They kind of took hold of Adam Cole, and then all the lights went out, and everybody cheered. We're all ready to see who it was going to be. And AEW, once again, proves that sometimes you just do what everyone expects you to do, and it works perfectly. When MJF revealed that he was... When MJF revealed he was the Devil... No! Oh, how did I mess this part up, honestly? When Adam Cole revealed himself to be the Devil, and he was the one that's been setting up the attacks on MJF and all the people around MJF. And yeah, it was just the look on Max's face when he realised what was going on was heartbreaking. And yeah, Roderick Strong took him out, and yeah, we move on to... The way I look at it is, we've got the Kingdom, who are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, which makes perfect sense. Roderick Strong helping out Adam Cole, again, makes perfect sense. My only outlying issue with this is Wardlow, because Wardlow was pissed off that Max was using him when he was part of the Pinnacle, and now he's in another group with Adam Cole. He can be part of I assume they'll be the Kingdom. I feel like Wardlow is only here to get hold of MJF. I don't feel like he's going to be part of this new group. Which is fine with me. I feel like, you pay someone enough, they'll help you out. So I think that's going to be the case. It was with Samoa Joe when they did business with them to take out Max, and then here again with Adam Cole. So I look forward to see where this is going. I look forward to Wednesday to see what happens with MJF. Apparently he's taking time off now, which would also suggest that maybe he hasn't signed with AEW yet. I do feel like he is going to re-sign with AEW. I don't think he's going to go over to the land of sports entertainment. But yeah, it definitely made up for the rest of the show being not that good. Did this main event. I did want it to be Britt Baker to be the Devil, just for my own pleasure, and coming on here and saying I was right, but I wasn't right. So, it makes sense. Yeah, that I wasn't right. But yeah, overall, enjoyable match. Huge moment at the end with Adam Cole being the Devil, and yeah, it makes Dynamite very much a must-watch on Wednesday. So positives all around from me. So those were my thoughts and opinions on AEW Worlds End. As you can see in the corner here, I always point to them. I got 57 out of 67 overall for the year in AEW. I got 4 out of 9. For this pay-per-view itself. It would have been 10, but I haven't counted my point for Swerve winning because it wasn't against Keith Lee. Therefore, I only got 4 out of 9, which isn't great. But there was a lot of swerves in this one. Adam Copeland beating Christian Cage, then I don't get a point for Christian beating Copeland in the rematch that immediately happened. And yeah, I got the main event wrong. I got a fair bit wrong, to be fair. But I think 57 out of 67 that I predicted, thinking that a lot of matches get added after Dynamite has happened. So I was doing my predictions the day after Dynamite has happened, but then they'll add matches on Collision and Rampage, which means that I don't predict them overall. That's why, so there's probably way more than 67 matches this year, but I only count the points that I actually predict. So I do apologise for that, as it probably isn't as many as... there's definitely been more than 67 matches on pay-per-view for AEW this year, but you see, hopefully you'll see what I mean. But as a show itself, it really wasn't that good. Like, the last 3 matches of the show saved it. Having Christian and Adam Copeland, and that whole situation was really entertaining and very good, and was very happy about it. Kingston versus Moxley was really good, and then the main event and the reveal of the Devil was as good as we all expected it to be. So yeah, as much as it kind of was a 3... what do you say now? It's like 3/4 of the card was mid, and then the last quarter was really good. But it wasn't the best way to finish off a year. I would have preferred if they just ended with Full Gear, but it's what it is, I guess. You can't always hit it out of the park. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the show anyway. Maybe you enjoyed it more than I did, and I have the wrong opinion on stuff. If you do feel that way, put it in the comments. Any feedback for me, put it in the comments as well. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the content this year, as this, obviously, with it being New Year's Eve, will be the last video of the year. I have a lot lined up for the next 2 weeks, as far as like Wrestlers of the Year, Match of the Year, People Who Show Up Better 2024 is my prediction for 2024, as well as Hard to Kill for Impact coming up. And I have a video on WWE's Karrion Kross's group as well. So I'm hoping to bring out a fair bit of content in the new year, as well as just throughout the year as well. And yeah, just thank you for watching throughout the year, and it's much appreciated by me, as I'm such, I'm just a wrestling fan wanting to talk about wrestling pretty much. So yeah, once again, thank you very much, and I will see you guys in the next video, which hopefully will be tomorrow. Again, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching throughout the year. I'll see you guys later.